Welcome to Catalyzing Change Week and our regional event for the Catalyst Now Australia chapter. I'm Jelena Haynes, Information Behavior and Video Ethnographer, Policy Advocacy Lead for Oceania chapter and co-chair for Catalyst Now Australia chapter. I'm delighted to co-host this event with Dr. Sanyaya Koropo from New University, South Australia. So over to you, Sanyaya.
Thank you very much, Jelena. It is a pleasure to co-host this event with you. It's on an incredibly important topic and one that doesn't get as much attention as I think it should. So today is about having free-flowing, inclusive, respectful conversations that will hopefully all improve our understanding and wisdom as we approach the complexity of the world. Back to you, Jelena.
Our event is virtual, live on that. Virtual runnings is a welcoming circle, as Sanyaya already mentioned. We'll begin with a welcome to country, her inspiring stories from our guest speakers, and then we weave these stories, which is the second slide. Narratives in facilitated dialogue, drawing out collective lessons, answering your questions. We'll close with a call to action, inviting everyone to help shape our future. Our theme in Australia chapter focuses on interwoven connecting for collective impact, reflects our belief that lasting change comes from uniting our diverse experiences. Through storytelling and open dialogue, we're not just discussing collaboration, we're living in it. By sharing our skills, experiences, and ideas, we empower each other to innovate and drive meaningful change. So to begin our session, we are deeply honored to welcome our first guest speaker, Cassie Fletcher-Patterson, a remarkable Jajawarong multi-disciplinary indigenous artist, to offer our welcome to country and also to share his stories. Cassie's profound connection to country, biodiversity, and traditional sustainable living is woven into every aspect of her artwork. She carries the wisdom of the past into the present, ensuring future generations can witness and learn from these vital traditions. Cassie's diverse talents span from weaving, fashion, jewelry design, painting, ceramics, bostaka, if you understand it, it's a lingo for word for bostaka, and cultural education. She is incredibly passionate about sharing her skills with everyone, Indigenous and non-Indigenous alike, offering opportunities to learn and understand Aboriginal cultural history. As Cassie beautifully expressed, when someone else wears my designs, they're wearing my culture, as she said, and carrying the narrative of her ancestor. They are witnessing and learning the stories so that the stories can continue. Her generosity in sharing knowledge stems from a deep belief that it's about sharing important messages and the meaningfulness of caring for a country and being sustainable in everything we do. We are truly privileged to have Cassie with us today to guide us in this important event. Over to you, Cassie.
Oh, hello. Can everyone see me?
Yes, we can hear you, Cassie, but we can't see you any longer.
Hang on. Oh. There. Can you see me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll start again. Sorry, I've had a little hiccup in my iPad. Woman Jeka Woman Ninji, Babapo Kuyap Nari Gijila. Woman Jeka means we've come together with purpose today. I would like to honour the lands that we all are gathered upon today. I'm here on the Gunai Kurnai country in Gippsland, Victoria, Australia, and I would like to honour country because without country, without our trees, we don't breathe. Without our oceans, we don't breathe. Without fungi and algae, we don't breathe. Without our biodiversity or our wildlife, our ecosystems, we need those to be able to survive. So I honour country for giving us the gifts that we have and that we can carry forward, but also to paying respects to the ancestors, the ones before me, that I walk in their footprints today for a very special purpose in the present, and that is for the future generations and the future for us as a community. It's really important that I just say one thing, that with the love and the passion that I hold for my ancestors and country itself, just here in this little parcel, can everyone see this here? Yep. Okay.
Yes, we can. Love it.
Yeah, it is. It's a possum skin bag, and I just want to show you something really, really important. And this is a part of my practice and a part of my journey too. But this is my little green-tailed possum, and this is what I'm about. This is what I'm about. I'm about caring for country. I'm about caring for animals and wildlife. So being a rehabilitator, he's just going to hop back in the bag now. So off he goes, off into the bag, off there. So there's his little tail hanging out there. But this is what it's about for me. It is about a journey of weaving. It's about a journey of being compassionate and empathy with our wildlife, to nurture country. And through my creative practice, it's really important that I share and honour, what I believe is really important for our future connections together, working together. When I do a little, like a welcome or a blessing to country, I always carry some beautiful gum leaves, and I'm not sure whether everyone's got eucalyptus around them or not, but what we would normally do is we would normally pick off a gum leaf and put it into water and lick it as a safe passage, and also too, just waving these around us gives us free energy and flow. But also to the eucalyptus, and this is what I love to do the most, is while it's still fresh and just being picked off a blown down tree, so I never gather from a living tree. I always make sure when the winds blow the trees down, I can pick up the leaves, and you hold it up into the light. And what you actually see is you see these little tiny holes, but when you pull it down, you heat them up in the sun, and when you pull it down, you rub them between your thumb and finger. And what actually happens is it pushes out the oil glands of the eucalyptus, and then you break it in half, you rip it open, you twist it, and you've got pure eucalyptus oil that then you place all over you like so, and that gives you cleansing as well. So so Woman Jeka Woman Ninji, Babapukuyap means hello, welcome, and good blessings to everyone that is here today to listen to our stories.
Thank you very much. That was beautiful.
And would you like me to continue talking about my story?
Yes, you go through with your slides, Cassie.
Yep.
So just continue with your story, and we'll be just going through with your slides. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, so with my slides, you'll see that the connections that I have with my ancestors and my creative practices. I am a multidisciplinary artist in many different forms of art. And in one of the first slides there, you'll see my fingers into a beautiful bowl that's with ochre, and ochre is a pigment from country, and that feather is actually a swan's feather that when they molt in the seasons, I collect them and I cut into to make paintbrushes. So everything's organic and natural with me. I don't go to shops. I don't need to. I make everything out of country because the gifts are there. I'm going to utilize them like my ancestors did. So the ochre is a ceremonial paint, but it also too does paint up our possum skin cloaks that we nurture. When a child is born, they are given a one possum skin, and then as that child grows, so does the cloak as well. The other slide that I've got there too is of native plants and its wildflowers, and this is about really important about like the biodiversity that I really like hone into, you would say, because we like my expression like for country and my passion for country, as you can see with the wildlife here, it's really important that we keep these plants living, and the climate. What I'm seeing every day is that it's really, really impacting with our native plants. It's impacting our wildlife. Like the weathers and seasons have been changing so dramatically lately that I've been documenting everything from a very early age until now. I've been collecting seeds. So I've got quite a large seed bank for the future, because the way things are happening and with the climate, it's really impacting. And like, we weren't expecting a massive big rainfall yesterday, and this is why I've got this little one here in the little pouches, because the weather forecast, like 1 minute it's 31 degrees and everyone's out there enjoying the sun. Some people were swimming the other day, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then, like, yesterday and today it's just been raining and cold, and this is where I get called up, because there's so many birds that are sopping wet and little baby possums that are struggling to survive because they're being, pushed out of their trees. And this is what I see, like, every day in me walking on country, is that, there's so many things that are becoming really affected by climate. And, like, with even collecting ochre, there's erosion there. So we've got to be really mindful of the sourcing techniques that we do, so we don't, get too much, because we just want to be able to leave it there for the future as well. So I've got a couple more little slides there about, and just sharing about my passion for teaching. And teaching is really, really important for me, because it's sharing that knowledge. It's sharing the past to the present, and these little kids are the future generations. That other slide, with the big woven healing mat there, that's all native plants, and you can see how it's changing color, and then it goes right deep green. They're all the different native plants that I've collected at different seasons, to show how the ripple effects of the climate change, and the climate that is, like, basically when I go out to forage the Dinella or the Lamandra, what I'm finding is there's too many dry roots, and you used to be able to pull out the source and you'll be able to chew the base of it, but now I'm pulling it out and it's actually quite dry, and it's quite dense, and it doesn't have that nice carbohydrates that my ancestors used to chew to sustain their energy for the weaving. And so that mat there, that's actually a beautiful woven mat, and it tells a story about the climate impacts of native plants, but also shares the stories and journey of our women weavers on country, because connection to my culture, my ancestors, and to pass that knowledge forward is really, really important for me. And around that beautiful big woven mat is about 30,000 foraged emu feathers. So when I go out on country, obviously I live and breathe wildlife, and I come across many, many emus, and I have them here, and everywhere I go I seem to find them. And they always, again, have a molt, or they might be nesting, and there'll be trails of emu feathers. So I collect them respectfully off country. I process them, and then I hand weave them into that big giant mat. And those mats were significant because my people would wear them around their backs, and they would carry their books, their babies, and their possum skin cloaks and everything, which is on the other slide with all the little hands on it there. And they would pack it up, and then they would move to another location. So they might be in their little yilim yadabiks, meaning their huts, and then obviously the cold weather's changed, so they might go up into the rock shelters. So they would travel with those big mats around them, and then place them on the floors and put their babies down and unpack everything, while the man will go and get the fire going, and she'll keep the women will keep the fire going, and they'll go out hunting, and then the shelter, rock shelter will be all cozy. And then so that's a real significant thing. And you can see at the back of me here, there's a very old little mat behind me here, visual. And they just show that, these are 1,000 years old, and it's just keeping that culture alive and visual for the future gens. But also too, with the possum skin cloaks that you'll see with all the little hands on it, that's really a beautiful presentation I did at a multicultural school, because I like to teach my students, of all different races, how we are all connected, because at the end of the day, we're all human. So this is a connection that I love to bring in my cloak, and I tell the stories on the cloak, the skins, and how we do protect wildlife. And then people will say, well, hang on a minute, you're a wildlife carer, how come you've got all these skins? And I said, well, this is our culture here, but we don't go out meaning to kill and hunt and everything. Now obviously we're protecting our wildlife, but back in the day that was our food source. We didn't have hospitals, we didn't have clothing shops, we didn't have pharmacies, so everything was out in the bush. So I bring this in and I educate thousands and thousands of students every year, from universities to TAFE students to schools and camps and other educational, like PDs, and online as well, like I'm doing here today. And it just shows that this connection, and for people to feel the comfort of these possum skins, and how important it is to revive and keep this strong and alive as well, because these were, possum skin was given to us. We'd add on to it with our significant stories. We paint with that ochre that you saw in the first slide. We will create these beautiful pieces. And then when it was our time to pass off into the dreaming, that's when we'd be wrapped up and we would be either buried or cremated with these special significant cloaks. So that's something that I love to share with the children, and the stories, and it kind of makes them think about, like, where there's life, the newborn baby with the possum. And then there's obviously, everyone lives, but everyone also dies. And it's not to be something afraid of. It's just something that we all have to accept, that at some time of our life that this is going to happen. And when it happens, that's going to happen. And this is what my people do, and this is what I will continue to do and share with the fellow students that I have in my sessions. So, and I think I've got another slide to have a talk about. Just have a little look here. I hope people aren't getting too bored with me, but this next slide is, and this is really important, this one here, because I was very young. I was really, really, really young when I love all these little love hearts and claps coming up on my screen too, by the way. That's really cute. But these two pieces in my hand, I've got my hand there with children. As I said, it's really important that I pass this knowledge on to children. One of these woven pieces is a piece of stringy bark, cut into the stringy bark tree, and it's kind of oh, thank you, I'm not bored at all. Excellent, that's great. The stringy bark rope is cutting from a stringy bark tree. Now, some mob actually do cut down the young saplings, and it just makes me really cross, because I go, you don't have to cut them down. You've just got to cut them on the north side and remove it really respectfully, just a little piece. And I always say, you only take what you need, because otherwise it's greed. So if I was to make, say some rope to do binding of a canoe, or even binding of some tools, or even to teach children, I would probably only take like 1.5 meters by say about 10 centimeters. So it's not, taking ring bark in a whole tree or a sapling. The younger saplings have a lot more sap going through the inner bark. So when I do cut into a young sapling, as I said, I always make sure it's on a northern side, because then that way it doesn't get like bacteria and infection and the tree actually dies. So I've never had a tree die on me before. So it's just respectfully and knowing how to like pull up the bark, twist it, and then pull it down. And that way the bark will just cover itself back over. It will leave a little scar, but then it all mends itself. And it does bleed a little bit. And when it bleeds, that's good when it does that, because that means it's going to regenerate, and it will, have new little growths. So it's quite cute when I walk through the little forest that I actually see all the I call them new beginnings, because they all stick out from the part that I've actually cut into, and then it grows again. So it's always been about mindfulness and about teaching people the right way, not the wrong way. As I said, high winds will blow down the trees, so that's when I will go out after the high winds, and I'll find the barks, and then I'll respectfully collect them. Otherwise, obviously people cut it for wood, but any barks or logs left over that's fallen, it's straight into the paddocks for habitat for wildlife. That's really important too. And the green piece of string, that's actually That's Lamandra, and that's our women's woven work. We don't actually, down here in Victoria, we actually don't weave on our legs. We actually weave just with our hands. So we have different techniques, and obviously around Australia, there's we're all one mob, and we're all one culture, but we've got different rituals, different totems, different storytelling, different woven. So we kind of like hone into, what's local in our area. So it would be wrong of me to go up and go, okay, I'm going to weave with a whole heap of pandanus, because that's not from my country. So my country is Lamandra, Dinellas, kangaroo grasses, tall sedge, kabunji, common reed. So we've got quite a few beautiful native grasses that we look after the habitat, because at the end of the day, the kabunji and the common reed, they filter all our waterways, and obviously we need our fish and eels to be healthy so we can be healthy. So, we only take what we need, and that's what I try and embed into the young girls that I teach weaving. And on the next little slide, you can actually see some emu feather woven earrings, and those little woven earrings, they've been into some runways as well. So the purpose that why I'm a fashion designer is because it's a platform for me to really advocate for slowing down fast fashion. With my studies over the years, environmental science and everything, I like to talk about the impacts of emissions and global warming. Some people kind of like laugh me off and just think I'm a bit of a joke, but I'm like, well, I'll see you in 20 years. I know where I'll be, but you won't be prepared. So things have to change. And I said, like with fashion, it's basically a platform to showcase how I'm being sustainable, ethical, minded, sourcing out thrift shops for really good quality, and there's so much good quality linen and cottons and everything out there. I basically bring that back, and I redesign. So I cut it up and I redesign, use mainly hand sewing. And then what I've been doing is when trees do fall down, I get their barks and I get their leaves, and I put them into big pots into the earth, and then I put a little bit of water in it just to soak it. And then when the big rains, I know when the rains are coming, they fill up the pots, and I just let them sit, and it just ferments and the colours come out. And that's when I put into the pots the beautiful offcuts and redesigned pieces that I create. And I pull them out, dry them, and then ink prints. So with the inks from the plants, I extract the inks, and then I make like prints with the native plants to highlight how much respect and how much country means to me, that when it's out on the runway, it creates conversations for conservation. So when someone goes, oh, I really love that skirt, and it was just beautiful, the beautiful soft black tone. So, well, that was charcoal. And and that green, yes, well, that was eucalyptus and cherry bala. And they're like, okay. And then it starts a conversation. But then I'm like, well, you know what? The reason why I've done that is because I want people to realize that, this is country right on these clothing, and the impacts of climate changes and submissions into landfill that, impacts our beautiful environment. This is a platform to really share and hone in to the importance of slowing down fast fashion. And I do this with a lot of other different things as well that I do in my works. And I think I might have another little, oh, hang on, what was that? Sorry, oh, beautiful. And sorry, I'm just trying to have a look at what's going on here. Sorry about that. And this here, this is a little group of children out on camp. So I facilitate outdoor educational programs for all ages, young, old, disability. No, there's just no barriers up with me. As I said, it's multicultural, which I love. So I've had some beautiful Fijians, I've had South Africans, I've had some Americans lately. They all come together on these beautiful outdoor educational programs. And what it is, it's like a community. And it's like, because I'm fair skinned, like my dad's black, my mum's white, I'm a fair skinned black fella. But at the end of the day, it's me being passionate. I don't care what color your skin is or what your background is. It doesn't matter. Let's all walk together, united, because we have to all unite to be able to what is it like? Yeah, stop the fight, basically. So we're uniting to stop the fighting, and walking together on country to really get these kids out, but also to adults. You learn something new every day, and this is what I love, and this is what I love teaching. And that's actually the little fella there making the string out of stringy bark. That's actually my grandson, and he's been weaving since he was 3 years old. And he's now 11. He was 9 there, and he actually won a beautiful art award for sustainability. And he'd done a beautiful woven net, and the net actually hangs up in my dining room. It's just beautiful. But he won the award, and with that award, it actually came with like a little, I think it was $250 voucher or something. And there was a little girl when he accepted his award in the crowd, and she actually just lost her dad. And he went up to her, and he gave her that gift certificate and said, I think you could do some art with this, and because it was for an art supply shop. And so he gave it, and I just went, wow, you didn't have to do that, Flynn. He's like, but I could see that she was hurting, and art helps me with my mental health, and because he's got ADHD. So he's really aware of everything. But when the kids come out, even when they do have ADHD, and like my grandson, like their country gives them something to do. They're the bush, and instead of being on on the TV and Nintendos and PlayStations or whatever, it actually gives them insight and gives them something to do and be mindful of. And you can see in that little slide too, the little fellow with the feathers in his hat. He was so excited to collect all those feathers. And I said, well, when you get home, you pop them in a little bag, put them in the freezer, because that will kill any like bugs or parasites or anything. And they're like, how do you know that? And I said, well, I've learned a lot these, all my creative practices. I bought some home, and I put them in a jar, and next minute I had little bugs everywhere. And so I said, you've got to make sure that you clean them properly. You can stick them in your hat now, but when we get back, put them in a bag in a freezer for an hour or so, and then pull them out. Then you can stick them back in your hat, and they'll be all fresh. So it is just about education, and also to that day I showed them how to track animals, and they were so fascinated, because it's not just about country, it's about the wildlife, and it's about what lives where, and looking up and looking down and looking around, and the weaving plants and the healing plants with the medicines, and just the natural clays that you can take out and create something for everyday use. And this is where I'm so passionate, and I just love to share, the joys that my creative practice brings to me, but also to I hope that you get a more understanding of what I'm about as well.
Thank you, Cassie. That's really wonderful.
Oh, I hope I
That was
didn't talk
beautiful,
too
Cassie.
long.
Thank you so much.
Because I'm being very mindful, because I can talk a lot, and I don't know whether there was going to be I'm like looking and going, oh, I hope I'm not, hope there's, yeah. But look, if you want to hear more from me, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you.
But thank you. None good.
We'll be back on the dialogue.
Yeah.
So thank you, Cassie, for the wonderful welcome to country and sharing your stories. And now we go to our second guest speaker, Tanya Carpani. Following from the powerful start, we are honored to introduce our second Indigenous guest speaker, Tanya Carpani. Tanya, a proud Narrandera woman, creates floral arrangements and have deep roots connection to country. Through her business, Momoroki Roi, which is Momoroki Roi. Roi is country. It's another word for it. She beautifully merges traditional weaving skills with floristry, incorporating native flowers and plants. I don't know if you can see it right at the end of the photo. Can you see the design? That's one of her artwork in here. So she managed to create one for us to showcase her works. Inspired by her ancestors, ancient knowledge and their use of plants for both food and medicine, Tanya aims to share the cultural significance of particular Narrandera plants views and information through her stunning floral work. Over to you, Tanya.
Thanks for having me, because I feel very honored to be here today. I'm Tanya, a proud Ngurrindjeri woman, and I would like to share my story of how culture plays an important role in floristry, especially for my business, Maruki Brewery. To begin, Ngurrindjeri country is located near the southeast of South Australia. My mum is from the Coorong and dad is from Raukene, an Indigenous community. I started my floristry business, Memory Village in 2024. Words in my Ngurrindjeri language, Mumaruki meaning flowers of the bulrush, and Rui meaning land country. I aim to connect culture, art, and traditional wisdom with philosophy. As an Indigenous female business owner, I do not speak on behalf of all Indigenous Australians regarding their views on culture, identity, and connection to country. I speak only as a Ngurrindjeri woman and on my personal journey and business experience. In a lot of Indigenous Australian culture, there is still a sharp contrast between male and female cultural practices, such as men's business and women's business. Each addresses the gender role and knowledge they pass down. These are kept private and very separate out of respect to their values and purpose in the community. My floral work does not involve certain plants or information that is considered sacred in terms of men's business or women's business in any way. And it is important to remember every Indigenous area in Australia is different and can vary quite a bit in terms of practices and values. So in saying culturally significant, I am referring to plants and flowers that reflect the symbolism of nature, knowledge, and healing in our Indigenous culture that has been passed down through the generations. In saying connection to country, I express unity with the environment and the balance between life and spirituality as seen through the Indigenous culture. In this particular image, I've created,
Sorry, should we go back?
yeah, just the previous image. I have created a small wreath around a candle using muntries, willow branches, and rice flour. So muntries, when in season, they have a small round fruit. It has an apple-like taste and can be eaten raw, dried for later, or made into a paste and used in cooking, such as cakes or jams. So for the next slide, thank you. So my views formed while being amongst family and growing up on country near the lake, river, and Coorong. With being with family and growing up on country near the lake, the lady pictured in the first image on the right is my great-great-great-grandmother, Queen Louisa Carpenny. And she inspired me with her weaving, which I do now with rushes and raffia. This lady is very special. In Ngurrindjeri country, it is made up of 18 clans, and Queen Louisa was the leader of Ngurrindjeri nation. And so with taking on and being inspired by her weaving, I found much peace and healing in creating woven mats and baskets. So I create floral arrangements that reflect country and culture to provide strength and comfort for First Nations and non-Indigenous people. My work is deeply rooted in acknowledging and respecting our ancestors by selecting native plants and flowers that hold cultural importance. So for the next, thank you. I'll begin with the image on the right. This is my dad, and he is by the river where he grew up. And thank you. And he had a profound knowledge of the Ngurrindjeri language, culture, and animals, and is still my greatest inspiration when it comes to my business and the way we move forward. In my younger years, we spent a lot of time with family camping by the river, lake, and Coorong. In this image, he's showing me and my two girls where their family had a little wooden boat, and his mum and dad took dad and hid him in the willows. To avoid the police who were removing children from their families. They had a blanket for a sail at night and a small fire in a big flour tin and cooked fish. The forced removal of Indigenous children was law the Australian government heavily enforced during the 1920s and 1970s. The children who were removed from their family, culture, and country are now known as the stolen generation. So when my dad passed away 5 years ago, I found there weren't any florists who catered for culturally significant floral arrangements. So we were searching for, in hope of it being a key part of his funeral. Having willows and rushes with flowers at his service, it would have been comforting and a special memory of his childhood. Both sweet memories and significant hardships he and his family survived. It was during this time that I saw a gap in the market for culturally significant floral arrangements and decided to change this. I studied floristry and combined my knowledge passed down from family of bush food, otherwise known as bush tucker, bush medicine, my art, and weaving through my business, Mumuruki Rui. A good example, on the left side, we can see my mat I have woven, and a good example of providing culturally significant plants is the yucca grass. The long stems were used as spear shaft. At the base of the long spear-like grass is a resin from the burnt trunks. This resin can be heated and molded, and it then sets very hard and was used as an adhesive for weapons and tools. So if you, these are some aspects of the culture that I like to share with the arrangements, just to say, did you know my ancestors used this, you know, for this use? So on the next slide, please. My guiding principle, floral arrangements that have deep roots in country, is about the land being a part of who we are and where we are from in terms of sustainability, identity, stability, and general well-being for all. The meaning of that place, whether it's totem animals, the dreaming story, or a fond memory of fishing with family, all matter when combining and creating a floral piece that is special and comforting. Some progress towards achieving this is in discussion with Raukan Council, where my dad's from. They're currently building a resting place site to welcome back the old people to rest on Ngarrindjeri Rui, meaning land. This is very significant and a good sign going forward as a community, given that our old people were stolen from their traditional burial sites across Ngarrindjeri Rui since the 1830s, and repatriation efforts have been at many times difficult and slow to achieve. So working with the SA Museum, there will be a special welcoming ceremony at the end of this year to rebury them in their rightful place. And with respect and dignity, our elders' memories, they deserve respect. I'm proud to be part of this by creating some floral arrangements while being an active part of the community by collecting freshwater rushes the way our old ancestors did. So on the next slide. Thank you. Here are some of my floral pieces. On the left is an entry I did for the Adelaide show in 2023 while I was studying floristry. This crescent arrangement has a woven base and it is titled Pondi, Narundari, and in Ngarrindjeri Dreaming. I chose to incorporate a dreaming story from our country to honour my ancestors. Essentially, Pondi was a huge fish and Murray caught, who was hunted by Narundari, a powerful ancestor hero. As he chased Pondi, the Murray River was created with its powerful tail, and it shaped the bends of the River Murray and the landscape. Narundari went on to create other significant areas with his journey, which are integral in Ngarrindjeri Dreaming stories. In conclusion, my business is created to share Indigenous culture and encourages connection to land and the community. By working together, I hope to empower and assist with restoration of native plants and their cultural significance. My hope is to provide strength and comfort and to ensure our Aboriginal culture remains strong for the next generation.
Thank you, Tanya, for sharing your beautiful voice and also the insight with us. It's really inspiring how to see how you improve during the time. Tanya is one of my friend. I worked alongside Naranje Elders for 21 years. So Tanya come along with one of our weaving session, and she stayed ever since. So we're working together now, hopefully, to help her out and share her stories to all of us. So the second part of our session, I'll pass into Tanya.
Yes, thank you very much. And I must say very briefly, I'm so inspired by the stories that have come before. So thank you very much for sharing your insight, your wisdom, and your culture with us. I'm very humbled to be involved. I have the pleasure of introducing two speakers from the University of South Australia. Apologies in advance for some of the technical difficulties we've had this morning. It wouldn't be a hybrid session without some sort of computer system failure. And just before we started, literally the room computer blew up on us. So we're on a laptop and seem to be working okay for the moment. I'll keep my introduction brief to these beautiful speakers that we have next, because it'd be too lengthy if I gave them their full bio. First, we have Julia Anna Meyer. She is a doctoral researcher and lecturer at the University of South Australia, whose work explores the challenges faced by social enterprise founders, particularly women, in balancing mission and commercial realities within ethical and sustainable frameworks. Her work, I think, has clear resonance with the speakers that have preceded us. I will also introduce Dr. Manjeet Monga right now. She is a lecturer at the University of South Australia Business School with a research focus on business ethics, diversity management, and the transformative potential of social enterprises in fostering inclusive and sustainable communities. So this particular session will have 10 minutes of Julia Anna Meyer presenting her research and her yarn, followed by Dr. Manjeet Monga. And then Jelena and I, to the extent possible within the time available, will try and combine these different narratives that we've heard so far into a story to conclude the session. So without further ado, Julia Anna, please take it away.
Really excited to talk about my research. Some of my students who might joining know already I'm really passionate to talk about social enterprises. So thank you so much for giving me that opportunity to bring more research into practice as well. So I want to start about my background. So having worked in social work, I worked right across different organizations in the past. But when I learned about social enterprises, I was completely hooked. So having a business model which can tackle all kind of wicked issues and problems we're having in this world is just amazing. Having this social mission, but also balancing some profit and like finances is really a great thing for those social enterprises we're having for business for good. So let's talk about the challenges we might face in that particular. So making the world a better place is not an easy task, right? So organizations signal their social mission, and that can raise quite high observers' expectations, so from stakeholder side or even from customer side. Many people are quite unfamiliar with the system that social enterprises have to make money to do good, to be able to fulfill their social mission. So prioritizing this profit and mission brings me directly to the aim of my study. So I was quite keen to understand all the challenges social enterprises are facing in delivering their social mission and navigating those expectations from outside, which are arising. And I was particularly keen to learn about the experience female founders or women founders are facing in that field. So I had the great pleasure to interview 41 social enterprise founders all across Australia. And those social enterprises were 60% identified as female founders. So that is quite unique in the social enterprise field, right? They have this very strong commitment and representation from female and women founders in that field, in that sector, who are driving the whole sector of social enterprises. So what did I learn about my interviews and like the experience from founders when they were sharing? what was those challenges which were arising from those outside expectations? So one founder told me this beautiful story about a metaphor I would like to share with you. Imagine having a person who's running up a big mountain, right? So this person has to put on a massive heavy backpack on one side, which is fulfilled with all those expectations we're having around a social mission, around charity, fulfilling your social mission and living up to your social mission. Then this person has to put on another backpack with all those expectations which are put onto a business and to making profit, being a competitive business, having a high quality product, being really making profit as well. So now this person has to race up this mountain against other people which might have just one backpack, right? Heavy, sounds really, really exhausting. So imagine that they also carry an invisible bag. Let's talk about that. That is quite exciting. So talking about an invisible bag, founders are also carrying a bag which has a moral tone, which is basically spread above those two already really exhausting backpacks they have to balance. So observers have no really expectations or have no idea what a social enterprise is, remember? So observers can extend those expectations, not just to what was promised via the social mission in our mission backpack, but it can also expect enterprises to be 100% perfect and pure across the board. So imagine business for good, they also being expected to be a good business, a perfect business to all times. That makes it very challenging. Right? So it can put pressure on those social enterprises because they're held to a higher standard than a traditional company or like startups, for example. I have this beautiful example from a founder who was describing about recycling. So this person was already doing something good with the business, but got questioned every tiny detail about how much does this person recycle? How good is this person really doing? Which can really put them to a higher standard. Another example we have, social enterprises are really expected to be social, right? So this social expectation pressures them to lower their prices, which is quite difficult. So if you expect it because you're a social enterprise, you're not making any money, that is really a challenge for founders because they need this money to fulfill their social mission and to put that into their social mission as well. So this extended social enterprise pack is also extending not just to the enterprise per se, but it's also extending to founders and even employees as an individual. So I found in my research that people really have these expectations of fitting 100% in their line with the social mission, even in their private life choices. Like, for example, when you bought a car in your private life decisions, or if you even being a vegan, for example, in a social enterprise. So there was this expectations that all employees who are working in a social enterprise are going to be vegan, or this person who bought a Tesla, for example, and received a lot of harsh comments on social media for how good is this car really in their private life situations. So we have all kind of expectations of being 100% perfect in that perspective. So let's talk about the challenges women founders are facing. So women have really those intense situations, getting this tiny moral heavy bag on top, right? So we were talking about that expectations to be social and lowering prices. Women founders were describing that even got more intense because they were expected to be offering their products for completely free, which is also a very challenging situation for them as they're getting pressured to operate for a loss. and also putting on the enterprise financial goals and on the personal goals from the founder a lot of pressure. So there was also this mindset of women founders were quite challenged and conflicted with money and how they spend the money, right? So they really want to do something good and improve and change the world to a better one. But they felt also quite fear to being judged negatively if they do so, if they act on this profit business backpack. Right? So we had some examples for founders who were explaining they felt quite vulnerable when they were doing, for example, their own salary. So they were not paying anything for themselves, in particular in the early years of their business. Also completely underestimating and undervaluing their own labor, which is a massive issue. So it can also increase the risk of burning out. It's also putting a financial strain on you as well. And so this challenges of like being a sustainable business as well. If you have no regular income, it can be also quite challenging for those founders to being even possible to operate. Some founders were also describing that they were juggling some caregiving responsibilities as well. So they're also helping the community, helping the family, having kids around, which puts another level on top, right? So what can founders do except of maybe getting a very good physiotherapist for all those carry and heavy backpacks you have to carry? The first thing I would really recommend founders is educate observers, right? So people have no idea what is a social enterprise. So let's try and raise this awareness of social enterprises, of the social enterprise model, to make sure we really understood this objectives of having profit, but also following like a social vision. Another point I think I also have to remind myself every time for this recommendation, and we all should do, is self-care, right? So you are very kind to the world, but are you kind to yourself? Very important point. So we have a very high risk of burning out. And we'll often talk about the mental load for women, but let's acknowledge this amazing work all those women founders are doing out there, creating positive impact for the world, and carrying all those heavy load on their shoulders. So let's have this environment of really awareness and create community which is supportive around that. Another point which is quite important, if you have the opportunity, try to seek out mentoring opportunities. And I mean also in the social enterprise field, but also outside in the business world. That was seen as very supportive for founders to improve and to navigate those expectations. And another one is joining and engage in networks, all kind of business networks and social enterprise networks. We have a lot of social enterprise councils around here in each of the states in Australia. Social Enterprise World Forum, for example, social traders. There's a lot of opportunities for founders to connect and to learn from each other, to learn from those stories, from those experiences, and provide those really valuable insights into managing those expectations. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Juliana. That was a wonderful presentation, and clearly your research is practical and of significant importance to everyone involved in this call. So thank you for sharing those insights. Next, we have Dr. Manjit Monga. I've already introduced you. You're amazing researcher, and I'll let you get on straight with your storytelling.
So please.
Yep.
Yeah. And more behind. Backwards.
Backwards. Sorry.
Something has disappeared here. Okay, never mind. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It is a great pleasure, a privilege, and an honor to be a part of this group and be making the presentation today. I was talking about my research in social enterprise, which I've been following and researching on since 2017. So how did it all start? My journey into this world, fascinating world of social enterprises was really, really a journey of discovery, a journey of learning, and a journey of curiosity. So how did it all begin? So it all began in 2017 when I and a colleague of mine who's now retired, Dr. Freya Higgins-Debios, we came across an article in a local magazine about a social enterprise called GoGo Events. So what was special about GoGo Events? The founder of this business, Sarah Gunn is her name, had made an unusual but very brave decision. She had transformed her commercial profit-making business into a social enterprise where she was providing employment to homeless women who were struggling to find work and who were under the normal radar of government agencies, who needed support, who needed help. So she started employing them to create the decor for her events and to manage the events for the corporations. So what especially caught our attention was the why. Why would somebody take on this challenge, making their life difficult from a very good profit running business and change it to a social mission and a social enterprise, and then you struggle to balance between the finances and the social impact that you want to make? And how does this model work? So there were a lot of questions that came to mind, and we decided, okay, we want to learn more about this enterprise and see how it is. So we just called Sarah and we said, okay, Sarah, we would like to talk about your business with you. Well, at this point, I say, ask any academic. It is bloody hard to get attention and time of businesses to talk with you about their business unless they are partnering in your research project. Then it's easy. But to our surprise, Sarah said, yes, I can talk with you. And I'm available on such and such date. Can we meet in Central Market? There's a cafe at the entrance of the Central Market. We'll have a chat there. And that was the beginning of a journey. And that meeting has eventuated into an ongoing journey, and we are still working, rather I'm still working, and also Sanjaya is a part of the project that we are working on with GoGo Events. So over the years, GoGo Events has evolved. She had to change her business model to fit into what we say is, fit into and win the struggle to find finances, funding for our enterprise, because we know that most of the social enterprises, especially small ones, they run on shoestring funding kind of a thing. And they always struggle to find extra funding to carry on, not only to carry on, but also to scale up their impact, because that will be every social entrepreneur's dream, to scale up their impact, to make a bigger impact, to help more and more people, because that's the spirit. So I'm going to talk about what I learned through this experience through our collaboration with Sarah Gunn and other social enterprises that have become a part of our journey. One thing that I've learned for sure is working with Sarah and her team, fascinating team that she has created, is trust, reciprocity, and shared purpose. And that these are not just buzzwords used by the corporations. They are the reality of social enterprises. They are the foundation of sustainable partnerships that social enterprises build with all their partners, not only business partners, but academia and with the communities. So unless this basic trust and let's say the art of building trust with people in relationships is there, it will not work. So that's something that I've learned through this experience very much. I've also seen that social enterprises, they really thrive on adaptability, flexibility, creativity, and also innovation on fingertips all the time. You pivot around, make quick decisions. It's the spontaneity of making the decisions in the current context, and how do you adapt to the situation within minutes. That's something that has really, really impressed me so much about the entrepreneurs, that, okay, everyday struggles, everyday decision-making on the go, just to make it a success, to make an impact. That's the kind of drive they have. That's the kind of passion they have towards what they are doing. One back. So how has this collaboration worked for me? What have I gained from it? And what have been mutually created? So upfront, I have to acknowledge that working with the social enterprise community has shaped my own scholarly identity. That's for sure. How is that? So one, our collaboration has been a two-way exchange in the true sense, where my research offers analytical and theoretical insights into organizational and policy dynamics. GoGo events and GoGo Foundation shares something far richer, that is the real world wisdom with us. So insights into innovation, community engagement, and the human side of enterprise that no textbook can teach us, and we learn it only by being a part of that reality. And through this partnership, I've realized something important, that research is not just being about gathering data and writing reports and publishing journal articles or making conference presentations. It's more than that. It's about listening. It's about co-creating and learning together, building each other's strengths. It's also about the humility, which is the respect for lived experience, that we need to really understand what it's all about. Second, working with a mission-driven organization has made me far more aware of the ethics of collaboration. Now, what do I mean by that? I have learned to view collaboration not just as an instrumental research method, to meet the needs of academia and publish and, get the ticks and get promotions or something. It's not an academic necessity, but a foundational ethic, which is about negotiation at every moment, flexibility, and shared accountability, which is what is the key word here. So I've learned to be constantly mindful that our work benefits the communities we study, especially women-led and culturally diverse enterprises, which face additional layers of invisible barriers in their progression. So we have a duty towards them. So the immense need to understand this importance of contextual sensitivity in research design and interpretation is paramount, according to me. It's not enough to just study social change. We have to help create it. That should be our ideal role, ethically and collaboratively. I hope I'm making sense. Then the next one, not yet. Oh, probably I'm talking too much. One of the most rewarding aspects of our work has been co-design. So by working directly with Sarah and her team and the women who are part of the programs run by Sarah Gunn under GoGo Foundation now, we co-developed research questions and methods that reflected their lived experiences. That was important to capture because that was the whole essence of the story, that what is their lived experience, what is happening, and how we can help them build their lives further on and move on, get out of that trap of poverty, of helplessness, and of, let's say, disadvantage. So helping one woman means helping future generations too. So that understanding of their context was important for our research so that we can dig in deeper and find better solutions for them. So it was all reciprocal, empowering, and authentic. That's my experience and my view. This is how it should be. Together, we are also trying to strengthen the visibility and legitimacy of social enterprises in Australia, along with Julia's research, who has interviewed so many tens of founders. Those findings totally reflect in what I am seeing in my research. Fully agree with that. Despite their growing importance, we see that Australia remains one of the few advanced economies without a formal legal definition or recognized status for social enterprises, which is really painful. It creates confusion for policymakers, funders, and enterprises themselves. Because without legal recognition, many social enterprises are forced to constantly prove their legitimacy, as the founders have spoken with Juliana. Instead of focusing on the purpose, the energy is channelized towards this, to being seen as ideal and doing the very best for everything, and in turn sacrificing their own lives and their own needs and their own time, which is just not right. So that creates confusion for everyone. So without legal recognition, many social enterprises are forced to constantly prove themselves. So through our partnership, we aim to produce the evidence and advocacy needed to change that, to build a policy environment where social enterprises are recognized, valued, and appropriately supported. And lastly, it's not in the slide, but I'll say disseminating the findings. This is our ethical responsibility as researchers, which extends beyond our collaborations. I feel it's my duty to spread and share the story of GoGo for scrutiny by stakeholders to continue to evolve, presenting at international conferences, publishing journal articles, and contributing to edited volumes on social innovation have enabled the change of experience across regions. So through these engagements, I have experienced how ideas evolve as they travel, how concepts such as sustainability or inclusion acquire new meanings in different contexts and different cultural settings. So in essence, at a broader level, our collaboration seeks to build a national evidence base showing that social enterprises are key actors in Australia's inclusive economy, advocate for a supportive legal and policy framework for social entrepreneurship. We seek to foster a more inclusive and supportive ecosystem for social entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurs, particularly by amplifying the voices of women-led and community-based enterprises. So our publications will disseminate best practices and advocate for equitable access for funding, training, and policy support, and empower women-led enterprises to act as powerful agents of change, proving that business can serve the 3 Ps simultaneously: people, planet, and profit. And at the community level, we aim to support the social enterprises that generate employment for disadvantaged communities, disadvantaged groups of our societies, address the local social needs, and promote sustainable production and consumption. I see this as a contribution to social inclusion and local economic development. So in conclusion, click once more. So business can be a force for good is my concluding remark. And gone are the days where business was seen as a zero-sum game. It is obsolete. It doesn't happen anymore. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Manjeet, for sharing your research journey, especially with Sarah Gunn as the founder of GoGo. I think there's a clear need for more research in the area, and you've really painted a picture of how research and practice goes hand in hand. And together, not only do we learn from each other, but we're able to amplify each other's voice and the impact that we can all collectively have. Time has run away from us, so we have less than anticipated for our storytelling and weaving of the stories together. The best thing I can do probably is not talk and allow all of the incredibly strong voices that we've heard today to speak more. So can I maybe just open it with your permission, Jelena, to our speakers? Did you want to pick up on any particular point, or did you have anything to contribute based on each other's conversations that you've heard so far? And Cassie, please feel free to obviously unmute, and we'd love to hear your voice again too. Were there any key themes that struck a chord with you?
Shall we go with the question that we prompted before so that kind of keep up with the time we have?
Sure.
So this is big one, Sister Cassie, and this is for you, Antonia. How does your connection to country and culture inspire the work you do? And what message do you hope people take away from our event today?
Would you like me to answer on my opinion?
Yes.
Yep. So
Thank you.
yeah, no, like as I said at the start, it's all about connection. It's about continuing our cultural practices with respect of our ancestors. As Tanya was saying too, like I'm a Jara and Wairaroo woman, and you know I have to respect that the lands that I'm on here on Gunai Kurnai country, that you know I connect with the local custodians, and we work together as a community, and together we share our stories, and it's based, like, you know, my journey has been about, you know, creating beautiful significant pieces, but also to including the young ones, and you know obviously mob for mob connections, and then you know having non-Indigenous and other communities join in to learn as well for a deeper understanding, because a lot of non-Indigenous people want to know, and they want to be allies, and they want to hear the truth of our deep history, and I think it's so important. And what a beautiful, respectful way is to take them out on country to sit and listen deeper, get that real spiritual connection, but hear the stories that come from our warang, our tongue, and then they can walk away, you know, having that feeling of a deeper acknowledgement to country and our people here in Australia on lands.
Over to you, Tanya.
Cassie, I could really relate to that. That was well said. I also, when I'm on country, I feel at peace and am relaxed. It's feeling the spirits close, and bringing this feeling into my floral work. I hope to make people feel comforted and give strength, bring forward in my business that reflects the priorities of our ancestors, care of land, respect of knowledge.
Yeah, and I
Thank
love your
you.
work. It's beautiful, Tanya. It's gorgeous.
Thank you both. And for the second one is for Majid and Joanna. Thank you both. I really appreciate Sanyaya. I really appreciate you co-hosting the event. And my question is, what's an unexpected challenge you face in trying to create positive change? Which is we kind of mentioned that we that. Yes. And how did we become?
That's great. Sorry, you're asking, how did we overcome the challenge of?
Yes, you kind of briefly touched to it, both of you. So how did you kind of manage to navigate it around, especially when you're going through policies and then the university itself, where you get different roles in universities and working with industry, which is you predominantly work on industry.
Yes.
So we're kind of navigating the challenges around.
Okay.
Okay.
So working quite across different organizations, I had quite a different experience when I entered the startup field. I was really impressed about this passion going on there on the social enterprise field. It's like people really want to change the world to a better place, right? And in the beginning, because I started my data collection during COVID, and I was quite concerned, do I have any founders who want to talk with me? And it was actually good timing, because during COVID, everybody was spending so much time at home. So I could tackle all those amazing founders all across Australia online, and learning of their experience, hearing all their stories they experienced. So I think talking about social enterprises and to create this awareness of like what is a social enterprise is actually the first step, how we can help and support those people to make this positive impact, right? So I think for me, that was one of the really impressive lessons I learned when I was talking with them, how much passion they have behind that. And we heard about this difficult backpacks they're carrying. So they're not stopping, right? You're just racing up this mountain, this hill, and keep going. And I think that is something we really have to support as researchers to find some strategies to help social enterprise founders to drive. Yeah.
Anything to add to that? Juliana had a number of social entrepreneurs, or let's say leaders in social entrepreneurship. I had a few, all in South Australia. However, all of them, they are so driven by passion that I never had any problem contacting them. They were ever ready to meet and talk about their world because they want people to know what exactly is happening in their world, how they are trying to make an impact, and their voices to reach the powers that may be that create the policies. And for people like Sarah, I, till date, in about 8 years of my association with her, I've never seen any level of negativity in her. Never gives up. I can make it work. That's the approach they have. And that's the kind of drive these people have. And that helps us, not only them, navigate our way and reach out to them. And they are happy to contact us and share their experiences. So it wasn't hard at all. Yeah.
Now, for the third question from us is for all the speakers, for all of you, 1 minute each, so we're counting the time.
Please.
So in a world that can feel overwhelming, what's a small practical step someone can take to start making a collective impact on the community?
It's me. So, what kind of step can you make? I think the self-care step and creating this opportunity of like community is really something we could take as a collective, right? Like starting with us thinking about self-care and how we can have this environment and reaching out to each other. I made this experience in my PhD as well. In the minute we're talking about the challenges, we're opening up, we suddenly learn somebody else is facing the exactly same challenges we have. And when I was presenting my research in one of the social enterprise councils as well, I had so many founders when I was like putting up the slides with this like a mountain backpack story. They were like, yeah, exactly, that is what I'm facing. And they were open and speaking up about how hard it is, right? Because we're not like celebrating the hardness so often, as Manjit said, like it's very a positive environment. So they're really driven from their motivation and their passion. But let's also talk and be open about things that might be challenging to solve that. So I think that could be something.
Which was your first?
Connections. About connecting with the community and with the social enterprises to see what's really going on in their words, as Julia is saying, and how best we can help. And to my mind, social connections are very important for your well-being and for your health. So just e-meeting and digital meeting is not enough. But tell stories, it can help you reach out to people. However, that physical social connection, meeting people, understanding, trying to be in their shoes is one thing that can really help everybody understand and work together, learn together towards a better world.
I think being aware of what the community has in place for events, community and local events, where you can meet people to see and get a vibe that will help gauge the environment and where people are going in the community, their interests and their willingness to collectively band together to progress further on shared goals. So it's been a part of the community, actively participating in issues that involve your environment.
Kathy? You have to unmute yourself, Cassie.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Everything just stopped.
Oh, we can hear you fine, Cassie. Just if you
Yeah,
want to provide
I
a
couldn't.
brief
Yeah, I couldn't
introduction.
hear you though.
Oh, hopefully others could hear us all this time. Otherwise, that would have been a difficult session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Cassie, but did you want to provide a final concluding thought?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Jelena.
Just a concluding thought, Cassie, from your side. So what do you how do you approach in terms of connecting community? And I know you briefly mentioned it from your stories. How do you do that forward?
Yeah, well, I like moving forward with everything that I do, working to promote awareness in climate, awareness in country, awareness in culture. Everything's going to be, like to conclude what I've been talking about. It's just an ongoing journey for me. It's been my life, and it's just going to be continuing to become more stronger, more powerful, more awareness in the future. So then we do actually have a future. So I'm hoping that everyone will follow the journey as well. Like as I head off into another creative path with this beautiful wildlife rehabilitation managing program officer that I'm ahead of at the moment. So it's an exciting new journey, but it's also one that's going to be bringing more awareness on environmental conservation and wildlife conservation, because without them we don't survive. So that's just follow the journey, and I'll be following yours as well. And sorry, it just seems to be kind of, my screen seems to be seizing up. I don't know what's happening, but I'm hoping everyone heard that.
Yeah. Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you, Cassie.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
As we're chasing our time, we'll just kind of leave the fourth and fifth questions, and we have that for future thinking, I think. So shall we go with question?
Yes. So thank you very much to all of our speakers. Now to give voice to Asha Murphy to synthesize very briefly her thoughts from today, please.
Thank you, Sanjaya. And before I start, I just want to acknowledge the Darug people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land from which I am joining from. I pay my respects to the elders past and future, past and present, and also to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in the call today, and to the elders of the lands from which you are joining from as well. So look, I have enjoyed this session. Cassie, Tanya, Juliana, and Manjit, your inspiring stories. And then for Jelena and Sanjaya for moderating and the introductions. Cassie, to start off with, you started off with the blessing from the eucalyptus, and that was really very touching. And then your the history of the mat and the skins, that really sort of like wrapped us up. I felt like you created this safe space for us, so thank you so much for that. And your work evokes the feeling of that we are also being woven, right? So these stories, this yarning circle is actually also weaving us and the enterprises that we run. So all these things add up, and the story about the healing and everything, all this add up. And so we need these stories to be passed on as well, because that has that powerful impact. The impact comes also through the stories and not just the work we're doing. And then the mindfulness of your work fits in with what social entrepreneurs need, right? And for their well-being. So, and then, like with Tanya, how you created those floral arrangements. And so the same use of nature, building these beautiful, beautiful artwork, and that can be us as well. Like we are going to be that artwork that we create from our stories that we share. And then, you know, Tanya, your story about how you use the knowledge and the you know, the cultural knowledge and respect to fill a need in the community, and that was really lovely, and more people should be doing things like that. You know, it definitely on what our knowledge that we have from the ancient times, we need to respect that and bring that into our everyday lives. And so, you know, like, just to be short, I know we're over time, and I'm very sorry. So, you know, really what we need is these healing circles, these yarning circles to be healing circles, and more of them. And Juliana and Manjit, you know, you created that, the challenges that social entrepreneurs are facing, and the trust and you know, reciprocity that we need from them. And so we create these circles. So let's make more of these circles happen. Let's make it real. And just to put a point, that Catalyst now is an organization of social innovators, and we do have these circles actually. So, you know, and the idea is that, you know, it's the global issues we're tackling, but at a local level. But there's also global cultural knowledge, that there's knowledge out there, you know, the traditional knowledge from all sorts of people really comes into play in Catalyst now. So if you get a chance, please do join us. And thank you to all of you for creating this space and weaving a little bit more art into me. Thank you.
Wonderfully said, Asha. Thank you so much for bringing that together. Did John, if he's on the call, want to conclude the session today? If not, perhaps over to you, Jelena. And thank you very much to Jelena for bringing all of this together with such passion and energy. It's been a wonderful conversation. So thank you so much for bringing it together, and your final word.
Thank you. It would not happen without all your support. Before that, I have talking about social entrepreneurs. We have a gift from Sunray. That's my work. And that's for Tanya. Thank you. And that's for Juliana. And that's
Oh, the co-facilitator doesn't need one, but thank you so much.
so Cassie and Asha and John, I'll send you yours. So I have to get your addresses. Saints. So thank you for everything. I really appreciate it. Now we're going to have our snacks, because I bought some snacks as well. Thank you. Ila, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you so much for the
You're on
wonderful session, for everyone who shared their inspiring stories to remind us that we coexist in this world with other creatures, and to be mindful of that, and also highlighting the importance of social entrepreneurs to help us build ethical solutions to the challenges that we face in today's world. So thank you so much, everyone. Very, very happy to have you, and yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Take care and look forward to keeping in touch.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.